All right, here we go. We are live. We've been live. Hey, how about you, everybody? Welcome into the special edition, or not really special, but the first Sunday edition of the Auburn Live call-in show. We are rebranding it as a call-in show. We started it off as a recruiting call-in show, but we don't want to pigeonhole, as Jhead likes to say, ourselves into just recruiting. We're going to talk Auburn football. We're going to talk Auburn football recruiting. We're going to talk Auburn basketball when the time comes. We're going to talk Auburn basketball recruiting. We are not limited. We are versatile. And we're going to try our best to answer questions tonight, address comments tonight from fans. First, my name is Jeffrey Lee. I'm the senior recruiting editor for Auburn Live on 3. If you're not a member of that site, now is a fantastic time to join because we've got so much going on the field, behind the scenes, in the locker room. A lot of stuff going on with Auburn in the heart of the season right now, and we are here to do our best at covering it all. I'm joined tonight, as I usually am, by all three of my fellows, and Zach in the back. Mr. Jhead, Mr. Cole Pinkston, Mr. Keith Niebuhr. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
What is up? I like it. I like the change. I like Sunday night. That's good with me. I like it a lot.
It works a lot better. The game's newer to everyone. Ideas are still fresh on minds. I know everybody's kind of calm and cooled down by now and just chilling. They just want to talk respectively about, what they've seen and what's going on. So I thought this would be a great time, a great move. And, I would rather compete with the NFL, right, than office reruns on Tuesday nights.
There you go. Hey, look, man. Ready to take on the big boys. I hear you, Jeff.
Office reruns are a big deal.
Hey, it's on nonstop. That's what I pay my subscription to YouTube TV for. Office reruns. Oh, my goodness. All right, folks. Well, listen. We are 24 hours removed from Auburn's third loss of the season. Auburn's now 3-3 after a 42-10 loss at Georgia, number 2 Georgia, I should say, who now I believe is back to 1.
Yes. I think they are.
I think they're back to the number 1 team in the country. I think it's fair to say Auburn has lost 2 of their 3 losses to top 10 teams. Is that right? I think Penn State's in the top 10.
Yes.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
and I thought my prediction, I was like, it's going to be something similar to the Penn State game.
And it was.
And it was. Man, I tell you, what was it, 14-0 at halftime?
Yes.
14-0 at halftime, and then that second half is very similar. Of course, Auburn did get a catch, spin, and run touchdown from Jarquez Hunter, and that was basically the highlight of the game for Auburn. Everything else was, at least offensively, was
Yeah.
All right.
This one was, as troubling as the Penn State, or disturbing as the Penn State game was, the result. Yeah, this one wasn't any better. I know this was on the road, but, guys, I don't think Georgia played that well. They didn't play their best. And also, I know they have a veteran quarterback, but they don't necessarily have a veteran team across the board. So it's a young Georgia team. Auburn's a veteran team. And then Georgia was without arguably its best player, Jalen Carter. So, but then again, it was 14-3 midway through the third quarter, too. So it wasn't like it was a blowout all the way, but there wasn't a lot of encouraging. I don't know how you guys feel. I was more encouraged after the LSU game, even though I knew LSU wasn't. My eyes told me.
We saw what LSU is.
Yeah. Tennessee showed you.
But you know what, Keith? I thought the same thing maybe around midway through the third quarter. At that point, I'm like, man, if this is the number 1 team in the country, this must be a down year for college football. Like I didn't see a dominant team, and I still didn't at the end of the game. And now,
definitely not on offense. They don't have too many. Now, obviously, they got 2 of maybe the best 6 or 7 tight ends in the country. And, Bennett's a proven winner. The running game's okay. Their O-line wasn't anything. They got a lot of yards, but kind of after Auburn defense knew that no matter what we do as a defense, it's probably not going to matter. You lose your edge a little bit, and then all of a sudden teams start running 6, 7, 8, 9 yards a carry like it's nothing.
Definitely not the Georgia team from a year ago.
Oh, no. But offensively, and Cole, you picked up on this, they structured things differently this year. They've gone to a lot of zone scheme, which doesn't seem to fit their backs or their offensive line. They tried a lot of stretch plays and things. And when they've gone gap scheme, they've really played bully ball and knocked people off. You saw a lot of counters in that game. You saw a lot of power in that game when they really wanted to start to dominate there towards the end, and they were attacking the edges there. But you can speak to that better than I can.
Well, yeah, zone run schemes are kind of like the new age veer, okay?
Yeah.
Back then, people would run the veer because, hey, all you got to be is disciplined. You don't really have to be dominant, just be disciplined. And that's kind of the new age thing. That's why you see all the zone schemes in the NFL because, hey, all the defensive lines are really good. So you can't just bully them around. So in college, if you have an offensive line that can push defensive lines around, you have an advantage where you can run these gap schemes. Makes it so much easier on your running back. And, you have success like Georgia did yesterday, and you can get in these situations where you can just get behind the back and push them for another 5 or 10 yards. You know what I mean?
Hey, Zach, do we have any calls? Do we need to go to the phone line? Okay, let's hit it.
Got one caller here.
Okay. LG?
I don't know.
Hello?
1346. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Tex Banks giving you a call from Irving, Texas.
Oh,
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How y'all doing? Thanks for having me on.
appreciate you, Tex.
Yeah, excited to be on. Got a question for y'all. Just curious. Something that means more to me than the rest of the league. I don't really care about the AP Public overrated. When is Auburn going to finally pull the trigger and fix the nightmare that is the 2022 season?
November 26th. Hey, Tex, I'm like, I think that's when Auburn plays Alabama, right?
Yes.
November 26th, is that right?
That's correct.
If you look at the rest of the schedule, first we're not going to beat Mississippi State, so we're going to be 3-4 by then. Then we're going to the bye week. Then the second half of the season, there's only one viable victory, and that's Western Kentucky, and I wouldn't even count them. So we're looking at for the first time since forever, we only got one SEC win. I don't understand waiting until November 26th. Cutting him now don't save the season, but it at least shows progress in the right direction. We got coaches out there looking for work now. By November 26th, there might not be no Bible coaches available.
Hey, good stuff, Tex. We appreciate the call, man. This is going to be a common, like, why with the timing, right?
Right.
And nobody I talk to or nowhere can I find that it's not a matter of if but when. And we've been saying that now for a couple of weeks. And we talked about this last week. I know Jhead and I went back and forth on this. We were agreeing, but what are the positives of going ahead and making an in-season move? And all the things somebody had written on our message board at the corner, like, here are the pros to doing this in-season firing. And I read down through all of them, and I'm thinking, well, man, if you know what's going on, like, all this stuff is already going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not for an in-season firing. I don't think. I could be swayed, but I don't. What does anybody have anything to offer me as to the pros of why Auburn should make a move?
I got a question for y'all, because I think there's 3 interns right now across college football, and they all have winning records but one, and that one played 2 top 10 teams, and they won the other game they played. And we've seen a lot of interim coaches kind of win out. Do we just try to do it to see if maybe we can get a little bit of momentum and at least possibly pull off an upset somewhere?
If I thought it was coaching, Zach, I just look at that offense. Dude, you're not going to win with that offensive line in the SEC.
Here's my answer to that, Zach. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeffrey.
No, that's all I had to offer. Okay, my point of that comment was I don't think coaching is costing Auburn these games. In-game coaching is costing Auburn these games. I think that the lack of talent is and that's why I don't think Zach Etheridge or anybody else as an interim is going to somehow find a way to make these guys block. There were instances. Keith posted a whiff on the message board of, I think it was Brendan Coffey. Maybe it was Alec Jackson.
It was Alex Jackson.
I think there was one of each, pretty much, maybe multiple. Dude, that was embarrassing to watch.
Yeah, he got put on skis on that play.
So to me, Zach, and I'll go to Cole. is that's the only reason I'm not for it at this point. And again, I could be swayed, but I don't think it's coaching. I think it's the lack of talent, and I don't think an interim coach could find the talent. All right, Cole, tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'm kind of with you, Jeffrey, but just my opinion on the whole situation in general is, you're kind of in a situation now where it doesn't make too big of a difference, because if you look at who the possible candidates are, they're coaching too. They're not going to leave their jobs in the middle of the season, right?
Right.
So if you do carry it out the entire season, or if you don't, to me is about the same, unless it gets to the point. And everybody kind of expected Georgia to do that to Auburn. I mean, nobody expected it to be close. But if you get into a game with Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, somebody that is really supposed to be a lot closer and it's not, then maybe make a cut and say, all right, let's try it a different way the rest of this season before we make a real move.
What's there to lose?
Yeah.
Now,
Right now, I just don't think there's anything besides the Penn State. That was obviously way, way out of, again, they are a top 10 team right now. So,
But we didn't know that at the time.
we didn't know that at the time, and it was a surprising loss, a shocking loss. But, I think this is why they made such a blow up in February, because they maybe saw this coming and said, okay, we got to stop this now, because if we get in season, then we're going to be caught in limbo here, which is kind of where they're at right now.
You were pretty much at the end of your talent acquisition in February, right? You'd been through –
Yeah.
that was basically the roster was intact except for some late spring additions.
Yep, Coy Moore was bad. The safety from Iowa State. But realistically, like you said, Jeffrey, the most important transfers that are the transfers other than Coy Moore that have made the most impact on the roster were already there. Your high school signees were already there. Everything was already intact minus one player.
Because I think the only other two were Morris Joseph and then the other one from Western Kentucky.
Marcus Bragg, yeah.
Now, Marcus Bragg has played. I can take that back. I haven't seen much of Mojo this season outside the first couple of games, and then I haven't really seen him in the rotation. But maybe I've missed him, Cole, and you probably would have caught that more than me. But this is what I would say. I do think from what I've asked around, and then I want to get Keith's perception here because, I think everybody should get a turn to speak here. There is some concern with regard to structure to the team if you do fire your coach right now. What happens with regard to integrity inside the program as far as keeping kids eligible, holding kids accountable, the overall structure, the loyalty of assistants to Brian Harsin, specifically your coordinators. Does that affect things? There are reasons as to why there might be some hesitation. And if you're going to make an in-season move, to me, there are two ideal spots if you're going to do it. One would be the bye week, so that operationally speaking, you're not overly hindered. If you're going to move any other assistant coaches from off the field to on the field to replace other vacancies, and it gives you a week to kind of work with the kids so that they understand all the transition and why this is happening. The second would be after Texas A&M, before you go into Alabama, because it allows you to have direct communication, not the boosters or anybody on the periphery, but your actual administration. So your AD, your president can negotiate directly with whoever's agent if you're going to try to have somebody in place for that first week in December so that you can have that new coach there when you're able to first start hosting prospects again for official visits and to get them out on the recruiting trail to meet with 2023 and 2024 prospects. So those would be the two times, but I'm with you, Jeffrey. I don't think anybody knows right now. I think it's purely speculation. I know what was hinted at earlier in the season. I don't know that still holds true today. And so with that being the case, it's hard to say, with any definitive answer, like, hey, this is the right time to do it. But those are the two times, if you're going to do it, to me, make the most sense.
Hey, before we go to Keith, hey, Zach, if we get calls, throw it up on the screen so we'll know to shut up at some point.
Okay, we got two right now, but
okay.
We'll callers, hang on. Keith, you can go ahead and
For once, I'll be quick. I think if you're in charge and you're thinking should you do it now or should you do it later? There's a few schools of thought. One, what's the saying? If it's what's inevitable tomorrow should be done today.
Yes.
So that's for all parties, by the way. If this guy isn't going to be there, at least let him know. So you could get rid of him now, or you have the option to coach out the season. But if he's not going to be there, let him know. But who would you be? Why would you make a move during the season? One, if you believe that it's doing more harm by keeping the person there than getting rid of them. Are they a cancer to the program? Are they neglecting their duties, their obligations to the university? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. That's not for me to say. The second one would be simply, I'd come up with three things. Number two would be to get everybody aligned early, so it's not a last minute thing. So you're not, okay, now we got to have somebody by this day, and we've only got 10 days. And what happens is you end up with the situation you got right now. You know, you get a little, you might panic a little bit, and quite frankly, it does reek of panic the last time, if we're being totally honest, right?
Complete.
Guys, didn't work out with Venables, didn't work out with Napier. What do I do? Who do I go after? And then thirdly, and this is probably the most important one, you've got a fractured and hurt fan base right now, right? If you made the move, now the other two, I don't have any, I'm impartial. I don't have any real opinion on it, but those are some things. But this one, I think would probably be a if they chose to do it either this week or next week, if it's inevitable again. If it's not inevitable, then forget about it. Forget all I said. Right. But if it's inevitable, you would do it to galvanize the fan base from that point on. In other words, what do they say? The day somebody stops smoking, their lungs begin to repair themselves. Something like that could have that type of an effect. Potentially. Not everybody's going to agree about who the top candidates are and who they hire and all that, but it gets people from this hurt situation to I can see the sunshine way in the distance type of scenario. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. We'll get to the calls now.
All right. 9296. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is AUJHW calling from Birmingham, and we have all this speculation about the coaching, and I'm sure that's what we'll talk about. But I want to take a step back and ask y'all about the offensive line. How did we get here, and how does it get better going forward? You guys have covered recruiting for a long time. Is it offensive line coach? Is it technique? Is it evaluating talent? Is it having a head coach that understands offensive line? I'd love y'all just talking from a big picture perspective. How does Auburn get better there? Because I think we can all agree, unless there's significant improvement in the offensive line, I mean, this program is just not going to make a whole lot of progress. And it seems like we can recruit well at every other position but this one. And I'll hang up and let you guys get it. I really appreciate your work. Right.
You're the perfect person to answer that question. Jeffrey, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'd love to answer that one.
Well, let me throw my 2 cents. It all started with Gus. We all know this, right? All right. Okay, and from what I know about Gus's offensive line recruiting, it was hard to get offensive linemen that wanted to go in the NFL, play in the NFL, to go and play in a system like his. They weren't being developed for the NFL in that offense, and it really hurt them in recruiting. And it got to the point where you're basically just taking whoever you could at some point. And I think Fabianic said last week on our show that there was an absence, a huge void of offensive linemen in the junior class.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it started. Now, Harsin has had 2 classes, one and a half really, and hasn't done much with it. Now, we were told last year that, Auburn had all these senior offensive linemen coming back. It was going to hurt them in the portal. And if these are the guys that were scaring off the portal guys, you didn't want those portal guys to begin with. Jhead, give me your thoughts.
So you're right. It obviously starts with the previous administration. And I do think that changing offensive line coaches the way that he did also probably hurt recruiting contacts.
Oh, yeah.
Specific recruiting classes, rotating from JB to, who probably wasn't the best recruiter, not a terrible recruiter, but not the best recruiter, going forward to obviously his best friend in Herb Hand, and then back to JB again, and then obviously to Jack Bicknell. But the system, I think it was Michael Lombardi from the Cleveland Browns that really was the first person to kind of come out and start saying how poorly Gus's offense prepared offensive linemen in his evaluation of Sean Coleman, of how it really did not help them when it came to overall NFL development. And then people started to utilize that against him on the recruiting trail. And to me, what happened more than anything is there were other prospects on the board, particularly one that landed at Mississippi State that Gus slow played. There were guys they could have had early that they chose not to go in on, where they had some higher level targets. And then when they would circle back, and I've heard Keith say this a million times, those guys weren't available at that point.
God, what was that guy's name?
Something Cross, right?
Charles Cross.
Charles Cross was a 3-star at the time, wanted to commit to Auburn. Auburn did not take him, ended up being a 5-star, and I'm sure he's a multi-year starter now at Mississippi State.
Well,
he's
he's in the NFL now.
Oh, has it been that long ago?
Yeah.
Great. Day in the morning.
Jamie Williams that played for Alabama, the tackle from California, who I think his mother went to Auburn. Now he had a family member go to one of those other schools.
Yes.
And Alabama, Georgia were going to offer at some point, but Auburn had a chance to get in a little bit early, and you never know. But the funny thing. Oh, we done, Jhead? I'm sorry.
No, but it's okay. Keith, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So you have that aspect of it. And then, like you said, then we start taking junior college linemen and transfers, and we overload one class. So it's complete roster mismanagement at this point. Particularly, I mean, with regard to the offensive line recruiting. Fast forward to now, in this last class, we took one high school offensive lineman. One. For whatever, obviously we had another one committed that decommitted the second that his father was no longer employed at Auburn. But that just didn't satisfy the need that we had. So how do we fix that going forward? Well, you have to take a very layered class this year with junior college prospects, high school prospects, and transfer portal prospects. And then whoever the coach is moving forward from 2023 on, you have to give them time, because we're talking about probably digging ourselves out of a 3-year hole. It is going to take that long to really produce and get offensive linemen that are from the high school ranks ready to play at the college level, so that you're able to be productive within your own system and have homegrown talent.
I think there's a misperception out there that the amount, and everybody knows I like Gus, but the last few years, it wasn't just the last few years where they didn't hit home runs on the recruiting trail on the offensive line. They survived and thrived at times with key transfers: Darius James, Austin Troxell, Casey Dunn, big boy from up north, Jack Driscoll.
Yep.
And so if you don't land those guys, this situation could have happened a few years earlier, quite frankly. So that's been the difference. There's been no portal pickups the last 2 years, and Tashawn Manning went in the opposite direction, left the program, now starts at Kentucky. I did see have a really egregious false start last night, but he's starting for Kentucky, which I think, using any metric, is a significantly better offensive line than Auburn's offensive line. And he wasn't a full-time starter at Auburn. So, you go back to that 2017 class, you had Troxell, and those guys would be 6-year guys. And Troxell, Brahms, they're still there. Nick had to retire with injuries, unfortunately. Troxell, always hurt, poor guy. Probably never was the player that maybe he should have been or could have been if he wouldn't have had all those injuries. And then the third guy was Calvin Ashley. And since then, it's really been – it wasn't great before that. You did have that one class that they thought was going to be great. Jeffrey, you'll remember this. Caleb Kim, Bailey Sharp. It was a bunch of 4-stars, and I think was Markel Harrell in that one.
Yes, he was.
Ended up being by far the best one of that group, and he was the lowest, might have been the lowest rated guy. Bradarius Ham. They just have never been able to figure out that. The guy with the Browns, though, I always thought was kind of amusing, because I don't exactly see them kicking ass and taking names up that organization. He had a little bit of a running feud with Gus anyway. They had, didn't he go after Gus at one time?
He did.
Spurned him, and next thing you know, the guy's ripping him. But look, but I will say this: Braden Smith's one of the better offensive linemen in the AFC. You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, you had that, and then it's just continued. Now, you thought, though, and this is the concern, like, we try not to be too critical of this current staff. They're getting beaten up left and right anyway.
Right.
But when they got there, when you do the roster evaluation and see what you have and don't have on the offensive line, and I'm not saying it wasn't a priority, but where are the portal pickups? Why weren't more guys signed? Why, it is, you have to ask that question. I mean, I'm sorry. I like these guys, but that's, Eric Wilson was committed, the Harvard transfer. Jeff's always laughing at me. Eric Wilson, the Harvard transfer, was committed, and they couldn't get him back on board. And but and he ended up at Penn State. But man, I just, there should have been somebody out. There's something, something, because if you had these are smart people. They did roster evaluations, and they, sure they came to the conclusion that we've come to. These guys aren't what Auburn needs, right?
Right.
For whatever reason, they just haven't been able to fill those gaps.
Let's get back to the phone there, Zach.
But before the next caller, did we have like a 5 or 4 star that ended up either transferring or decommitting and went to like Arizona State? Wasn't it like Westerman or something?
That was back in Jeff Grimes era. So he got Christian in the 2010 class, Jeffrey, I think.
Yep, that sounds right.
Greg Robinson, and then we had the kid that Kwanjo that decommitted or committed and then decommitted on the same day.
I think of all the misses just in the past couple of years with Javion Cohen. You think about Wanye Morris. These guys you would presumably be starting right now and anchoring a pretty damn solid class. Just if you got 20% of the guys you missed over the last 3 years,
it's
high school guys.
It's shared blame between the two.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Quality players like Justin Osborne that transferred out to go to SMU very quickly, and he's had a very productive career there for them.
Oh, has he really?
He has. They're starting left guard for the last 2 or 3 years, right, Cole?
Yeah, I always liked Osborne. I thought he was pretty good. So
I kind of lost faith in him. He went to IMG Academy and was just there for a couple.
Oh yeah.
Left, and they always tell me that the guys that don't last there generally don't do much. So I didn't know he was doing that. Good for him. He was a nice kid.
All right, let's see. 9278, you're live. Who's calling? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Sparks from Atlanta. How are you?
What's up, Sparks?
So I just kind of wanted to take a kind of a different approach because I keep hearing about, we don't have to do. But specifically on 2 plays yesterday, and I think Keith probably highlighted those, or I've seen it highlighted on Twitter. But Alec Jackson, who's about an 8th-year senior, stands up out of his stance, literally looks the other way, doesn't touch anyone, and lets the guy run right past him. And I heard someone, describe it as like he had a battery and someone took the battery out of him or unplugged his controller. That, to me, is coaching. It has nothing to do with touching. And then you have Keandre Jones, stands up out of his stance, takes 2 steps forward and falls on his face without touching anybody. Again, that's coaching. That's talent. I guess if you consider balance, but this stuff is bad, guys. And then the other thing that I keep hearing that Harsin is a good coach, but we're 6 weeks into this, and every single game we hear execution. Well, if you're asking guys to do things they can't execute, at what point do you change what you're asking them to do?
That's a fair question.
Yep. I'll tell you what, man. Just my initial thoughts on that is Alec Jackson and Keandre Jones did not start the year at guard. Neither one of them did. And seeing that they missed some assignments like that might be the reason for it. And yes, I think some of that falls on coaching, and then some of it falls on, hey, you can lead a horse to water, but So I think it goes both ways on that. And if you're missing assignments at this point, it's hard for me as somebody who's played offensive line, helped in coaching offensive line, to say I don't know who's to blame exactly. So that part is frustrating to me to watch because I don't know how to pinpoint it. And then, that just goes back to the same thing, though. Once you lose your starters, you're done just about on the offensive line.
Yeah, and the only other point I have is on offense. I think it seems more like with offense, it's more about if you have the right team, you don't necessarily have to have dudes to see. And I know Jhead likes to talk about, average star rating or blue chip rating. I think we could all agree Tennessee doesn't have a single what we would consider dude on that offense. They were missing their most productive wide receiver, and they still hung 40 on LSU at LSU.
This is
what you have a good. You can scheme around deficiency. We refuse to do that.
I think you can scheme around deficiencies. I agree with you there, Sparks. But what I would also say is that Hendon Hooker is potentially the best quarterback in the SEC this year.
That's the difference, Jhead, the quarterback play.
Right. If you have a trigger man of that caliber, it makes it a lot easier to do different things to scheme guys open because he's such a threat, both in the passing game and with his legs. He's just a very special talent. And when you have, at least if he's not better than Bryce, the number 2 guy in the league, if you have a receiver go down, you can compensate for that. There are things that you can do that he's able to work safeties with his eyes and everything else. And Heupel does look, that scheme in and of itself fits Hendon Hooker like hand in the glove. Okay. They're not changing all that much when personnel at wide receivers moving in and out.
Well, they're playing with an edge and playing with confidence too. And at a certain point, when you get to 3-0, 4-0, when you haven't been there in a while, you start believing that you're a 3-0, 4 team, a 3-0 or 4-0 team. And Auburn's now a 3-3 team. And a couple of weeks ago, they thought, we're still pretty good. We can still reach these goals. And now they're thinking probably, because there's some mental elements to this stuff. Hey, maybe we are just a 3, 4, 5, 6 win team. And if you lose your edge just a little bit, there's a reason why pro tennis players, pro golfers get a little wrist injury. You don't see them for months because if they're not at 100%, if they're only at 98%, there's such a fine line between greatness and non-greatness that they'd rather not risk the embarrassment. And with the football team, if you're not here where you need to be every week, you can get exposed by just not having the edge, not having the confidence, mentally being out of 2 or 3 more plays per game than you usually are. And, I don't know. It's Tennessee's done a great job, and right. I mean, Hooker's been great, but the offensive line's solid. Mm-hmm. I'm just with you guys. I wonder if we took a list. Somebody mentioned to me a couple weeks ago. They said, "How many of Auburn's starters would start for 5 other SEC teams?"
Offensively or defensively, Keith?
Well, let's go. You go the whole team. I mean, we don't have. We got calls to take, but somebody could jot it down, and there's not many.
Well, first, let me start with well said, and I think Pete Sanchez would agree with you with regard to the tennis and the golf comment.
Okay.
But probably Derek Hall, Eku Leota,
DJ James,
probably Zion Puckett. I think he could start for several teams. Been impressed with him. Maybe Kaufman,
Jarquez Hunter.
There you go.
Yeah, Javarius Johnson possibly.
Well,
but we're talking second or third tier teams.
Yeah, that's about it. That's all I can think.
We're not talking Alabama, Georgia.
Right, Javarius Johnson could start at Missouri.
If you take like the top 4 or 5 teams in the SEC, how many players do we have that would be starters on the top 5 teams in the SEC right now?
Just take, for instance, Georgia. Which kid at Auburn would start for Georgia right now?
Derek Hall, and that's it. And I don't even know that he would start. But that's the only one that comes to mind, Keith, as of today that would start at Georgia.
Is he going to beat out Nolan Smith?
You're probably going to play 2 edges if you got both those guys.
And by the way, I don't think
maybe Wooden, but
yeah, Kobe, I forgot. You're right.
Wooden, Jalen Carter, maybe you might have something there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kevin Barnes saying in the comments, Oscar Chapman. That's a pretty good one too. But
hell, he's the MVP right now.
I think we're all kind of on the same page that it's not that Auburn has just terrible players in and out. It's just that they don't have enough. They just don't have enough.
Difference makers. We all love the secondary. I think the secondary is pretty damn good. How many interceptions do they have this year?
0.
Here's one of the things I was talking with somebody. How many positions on the team do you have a problem with? Like, where are your liabilities? And it's offensive line and quarterback. Everything else is at least average, wouldn't you say?
No, linebacker.
Yeah, I would throw linebacker in there too. Yeah.
Yep. Other than that, yeah.
And that's also been a huge disappointment in Robinson.
I agree. The linebackers have been the absolute liability on defense. There's your one position on defense, and then your offensive line. There's no excuse for an Auburn and upper SEC, which should be an upper SEC team like Auburn, to have an offensive line like they have right now. Last year Auburn's offensive line was average, right?
Yeah,
they were average, right? Yeah, and they've regressed. And I'm sure they've lost Nick Brahms, but it's almost a 180. I remember going into this season saying, if Auburn's offensive line can just be average, and if Zach Calzada can just be average, this team could win some games.
But is it, Jeffrey, do you think, is it true that, a lot of people are saying it on the board that Bo masked a lot of these issues?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think you have to, Keith, there's no other way for you to look at it and say he did
Well,
it.
if you're talking about it in sacks, I mean, how many times did Robbie Ashford actually get sacked yesterday? I don't think he did very many times at all.
No, but he had all those throwaways, which are
well, so did Bo Nix.
If I look up at the stat sheet and I see that Auburn, how many passes did they throw? 38 passes.
Yeah, gosh. Man.
Hey, you see that against Georgia? That can't be a good thing. That can't be a good thing. And also, I don't remember too many teams running wide on Georgia over the last decade and having great success. If you could beat them running the ball, it has always been, to my knowledge, now granted, the last couple of years, nobody was beating them because you had Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, but it's always been somewhat of a little bit of a power game up front or something up front, right? Something in the middle.
Other than LSU, which had probably the most dominant offense I have ever witnessed in my lifetime back in 2019 when they completely and utterly destroyed UGA in the SEC championship game. And they were able to run the ball, but they did so many different things with Joe Burrow at the helm that they had them completely off kilter. Yep. But that's the only thing that I've really seen, Keith, that has been able to have their way with Georgia.
But running outside, I mean, I don't know. I get what you're trying to do, get him out that way so you can do this. But
sure,
I don't know. I mean, it's
there's a lot of things like the first down play. The first downs are killing Auburn. God dang, man. It's second and 12. You might as well just back it up 2 yards and call it second and 12 and start the clock.
And for all the special things Robbie does, the hands just not holding on to that ball when nobody's around sometimes. And I feel for him too because he's playing with everything he's got, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love that part.
He is, and he's just Cole has talked about this. He's just so raw in the passing game as far as his understanding, his balance, his footwork, moving vertically in the pocket as opposed to horizontally, and overusing his athleticism. There's just so much there, and you feel bad for the kid because he was brought in. He wasn't brought in to start.
Right.
He was brought in as a guy that fit the prototype of what you wanted, and you thought you could develop, and in 2 years you'd have something.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I wish I could see what Robbie Ashford would look like in 2 years.
My question would be, and I had this conversation with somebody today, somebody that's in the Auburn sphere. Can Robbie Ashford play quarterback in the NFL? Who believes that? And if you don't believe he can, what could he play in the NFL? Because just like Joey Gatewood, who I always get the names confused, this is a special athlete, right?
He is.
And did somebody, I want to say somebody told me recently that was Oregon going to move him? Was Cristobal going to move him to another position? Maybe receiver? But, you wonder, though, long term, if the track doesn't go like this and it just goes like this, what does he do? Because he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of athletic ability, and he plays hard. He's not soft out there, I can tell you that.
No, he's not.
Against LSU.
He is a competitor.
What he could do at quarterback, but I just don't know is it going to be one of those things where he puts in 2-3 more years at quarterback and you look back and you say, God, should have moved him somewhere else.
We thought the same thing about a guy by the name of Malik Willis, and we saw how that all turned out.
No, I understand.
So it's hard, Keith. It's hard to make that assessment, and it's hard in this offense because I don't think it necessarily accentuates everything that he does. Well.
They knew that when they took him. They knew what he was when they took him. And he knew, if he did his homework, knew what they were when he took them.
Agreed.
Here we are.
Yeah.
and I'm pulling for the kid. I've been so impressed with his determination, his willpower, his heart, his athleticism. He's got a strong arm. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't know.
Caller. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go, what you guys at?
Going crazy. Apparently, one of the players none of us named was Tank Bigsby. Who could
I thought of him. That's why I said Jarquez Hunter. What?
Whoo. Bro, we're about to get some heat on that. Go ahead, Zach. Bring it
the next caller on that one. 5810. You're live. Who we talking to?
Leading rusher, Jarquez Hunter from yesterday, by the way.
Just
And
Grimes.
receiver. And receiver.
Yeah, you're live, man. We got you.
Hey, it is Ashton from Montgomery. How you guys doing?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Who? Oh, Anthony?
What's up,
Yeah.
man?
What's up, big dog?
What's up, Jeffrey? What's up, man?
What's on your mind?
Quick question. So, Hope dropped his coach Friday. The boy went crazy.
Yeah.
Grimes is a popular name. I want your guys' opinion on this. So, let's say it is Grimes. Who do you guys think would be a good pairing for coordinators that's realistic that Auburn can get, that'll come, that can also coach and also recruit to be paired with Grimes? That's my only question.
All right, good question, Anthony. We appreciate it, man. I'll tell you what, I'll reword it for you. Not for you, Anthony, but for these fellas, because I'm going to give you the power to name a head coach and 2 coordinators for Auburn in 2023, and it has to be doable, realistic. Who you starting off with, Jhead?
I'm going to pass the key. I'll come back around.
Well, no. I'm not going for it.
I'm not good. I'm not good with the coaching community.
Yeah. All right.
I know who my DC would be.
I know you're going with Travis Williams. There's no question on that one. Let's say this. Let's all just say Jeff Grimes is named head coach, because that was the name that Anthony asked about. So let's start there and just answer that question specifically. As far as coordinators were concerned, I think it obviously has to be somebody that meshes with Jeff Grimes' offensive philosophy, which is to be physical, which is to utilize spread concepts and pro concepts. He likes to use a multiple system. I probably would look to Ohio State, and I would look at somebody who's a young offensive coach that's looking at their teeth as an offensive coordinator. And their wide receiver coach is flat out getting it on the recruiting trail right now. I think he's somebody that can be mentored by Jeff Grimes, and that's probably who I would pluck as my offensive coordinator.
As in line of heart?
You got it, Brian Hartline. And maybe his brother Mike would be my quarterback's coach. Maybe that would be, the enticement he needs to come down here. But
That's the only guy I have for OC.
I'm really high on what Ryan Day does from an offensive skill standpoint. I think he utilizes the quarterback option game along with, pro-style passing concepts and power spread formations as well as anybody. And I think he's somebody that would mix with Grimes. If you're on the defensive side of the football, I'm going to go with
Is Dale McGee even in the conversation for you as OC?
Not for me, because
Okay.
Dale hasn't done enough to this point. And I don't know that a coordinator is what necessarily fits his skill set. Dale has run high school programs. I think he's ready to jump into a G5 head coaching position and work his way up.
Coach says Tom Herman and Jimmy Lake.
Ooh.
Unless the head coach is if the head coach is a play caller, then maybe Dale. But what I've been told with regard to Grimes is he's not looking to call plays on offense. He's looking to delegate that down to someone and be more of a CEO. But with that said, I'm going to steal yours. I'm going with Travis Williams, who's got the number 40 total defense in all of college football and the number 12 scoring defense in all of college football. Travis is really doing a great job down at UCF.
Second year.
Yeah, brings that Auburn flavor. I'll roll with it, and I'll also give you Travaris Robinson as my co-defensive coordinator, safeties coach.
I'm
going to say I'm not going with Grimes. He may end up being the coach. I'm going to say Lane Kiffin's going to be the head coach at Auburn. That's my pick as of right now. Now tomorrow could be Hugh Freeze. After that could be Matt Rule. And at Lane Kiffin, I see we're hearing chatter. Kendall Briles might not be at Arkansas.
Yep.
Forever. All right. So
but why?
Well, a young guy that
he's getting run out of town, right?
Well, look, their quarterback's hurt. I don't think anybody was complaining last.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Plus, Lane's calling plays anyway. Jay Lee doesn't.
Yeah.
I'll say Kendall Briles, the defensive coordinator. We'll go co-coordinators here. We'll bring somebody from the NFL down to be a co-coordinator, a guy by the name of Christopher Kiffin.
Okay.
Co-coordinator T. Will.
Oh, I like it.
I do like Traverse Robinson on my staff.
T. Will may not go for that, and also, yeah, I like T. Rob on the staff too, and Chris Kiffin may very well be
The recruits.
I haven't talked to him in a long time, but now if you bring Lane Kiffin and you bring Chris Kiffin, you're also bringing an X factor as an unpaid analyst, a guy by the name of Monty Kiffin. Okay, one of the great defensive minds of the last 2 decades in football. Not a terrible guy to have as a consultant, a guy in the building, just helping you take a look at things, a guy that's seen everything, right? So those are my
I could deal with that for sure.
I mean, I'm just throwing anything against the wall right now, you know.
Yeah. Well, behind you, it looks like it's sticking.
Staff in offensive meetings, I think, just looking for something, you know, something that works.
Anthony, good stuff, bro. Good conversation piece.
Thanks, Anthony.
But you got to get Cole in on it. He just
man.
popped back in.
Cole's been sick, man. Look how pale he is. He looks like Jeffrey Lee in the middle of summer.
Right after you got done cutting grass, huh?
Cole just went and took a quick bubble bath. He's back now.
Yeah, I did. It was a quick one. I can't come up with a name with offensive coordinator. I was thinking about it. Defensive coordinator, I feel like there is some backlash coming with this answer, and I don't know if y'all said it or not. I'm going to say you probably didn't. Will Muschamp.
No, there's no backlash for me.
I'd go with Will.
He was in my top 3.
Sure, him. All right, so
I just love his fit at Auburn, man. I love his personality. I mean, if I was a recruit, that's a guy I would definitely want to play for.
Will's one of the funniest. Will's one of the funniest freaking guys in college coaching, man. I'm telling you,
if you could get Will Muschamp, Travaris Robinson, and Travis Williams on the same defensive staff,
bro, that's lights out. But I don't think
is Schumann ready to like what's going to happen at Georgia's probably would play a factor. Obviously, in what
you would think he's in line, right?
Yeah, if he wants it, he may not want. Look, man, him and Bobo might be enjoying their lives over there, not as coordinators and getting all the heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and Will is the coordinator. He's the play caller.
I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sorry.
But no, everything I hear is he's in his. I think his son's a walk on there at UGA.
Mm-hmm.
He's not leaving for anything.
Robert
of a head coaching job. Enjoys working with Kirby, being at his alma mater. So that's going to be a really tough pull. But you're right, Keith. He's hilarious. He's a fit for Auburn. I just don't want him as my head coach. But other than that, man,
right? That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Exactly. Can I throw an underrated name as OC at y'all? I know some of y'all probably might not even know who he is. G.J. Kinney.
I know who G.J. Kinney is.
I think
Letterkenny
he a amazing offense. He was the co-offensive coordinator at UCF last season under Gus. Is the head coach for Incarnate Word right now. They're a top 10 team in FCS. Put 55 on Nevada. They got a transfer quarterback in named Lindsey Scott. Kid could not pass a lick. Second in passing in the FCS in yards and touchdowns, and threw for 407 touchdowns in the first half this weekend.
407 touchdowns? Great day in the morning.
7 touchdowns. There we go.
Hey, I like it. Zach and about coming to the front.
Yeah, he's a Chad Morris
coach. Don't they have a running back coach? We all know it, Incarnate World. Cam Martin.
Cam Martin is
that right?
Yeah. Word. Yep.
I love Cam Martin.
Listen, and of course, Georgia Southern's wide receiver coach is Marcus Davis. So there are a lot of former Auburn players right now that are in the college coaching world.
Hey, Gus, for all the criticisms, has a pretty the coaching tree starting to,
Yeah.
Look, I'll give Gus credit, and he's probably going to win the American Athletic Conference this year. I mean, UCF is the best team, unless Cincinnati is able to upset them in the championship game.
We got one last caller here.
All right, let's do it.
9612, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's up, guys? It's Memes again.
Memes.
Oh, what's up, Memes?
This is past your bedtime, big dog.
Well, I've been trying to call for weeks and finally made it in.
Yeah,
I just left Buffalo Wild Wings, one of Cole's favorite establishment. So
Absolutely.
Duke's high. No Georgia beat down can get me down right now. Well, honestly, I originally called to talk. I had no agenda because I just love you guys that much. It's just like a dog chasing the car. I don't know what to do, and I finally get let in.
Yeah.
If you're listening, y'all got me thinking. And I've been I'm not going to talk coaches, who the next guy is going to be, but there's a name we got to bring up that hasn't been brought up yet, and that's Rush Probst.
There's a reason he hadn't been brought up yet. Means
man.
Well, his controversy section of his Wikipedia page is really long, but I feel like we got a few guys that are on the short list with long controversy pages. Now I don't know if they'll be longer than his, but I mean we're talking a guy who, I mean, this guy can recruit elite in high school.
that's true.
That's what he could do in college. Saban tried to get him up there 2007.
Before they found out about his second
Osborne's been
family.
waiting on Rush Probst for 15 years.
Where is he now?
I think he got fired again from Valdosta, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing about you got to think about Rush Probst. Like Auburn could probably pick him up for about $95,000.
Bro, we could put him and Jeremy Pruitt on the same staff for less than 150. We can guarantee it.
Well, yeah. I was gonna say you can get Rush Probst real cheap, so we don't have to worry about any expensive buyouts anymore if it doesn't work. Like I said, he's an elite recruiter. He did it at a high school level, and
He's the grandfather of high school recruiting.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Him and Bill Clark.
yeah, he's the reason they have all these rules is because of him.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more legal in college. So what he could do with NIL. And you got to remember, I mean, Jeremy Pruitt was on his staff back in Hoover in 2005.
so was Chip Lindsey.
Damn.
Exactly. So just think about it. Two good college coaches, asterisk, were under him. So just
Rush.
imagine what the kingpin could do.
If I were at Jacksonville State, sure, he'd be my hire.
Well, there's some successful coaches, some successful college coaches out in Texas that were high school coaches. Art Briles, Jeff Traylor. I'm missing some other ones, right?
Chad Morris.
Chad Morris. Everybody laughs at Chad Morris, but SMU was pretty good when he was there.
Rhett Lashley.
Yeah.
Ashley, that's right.
Was Lashley a high school coach in Texas? I thought he just did his
Arkansas,
apprenticeship under
Texas.
Gus.
I thought he was at Arkansas. Did he come straight? Did he go straight to Gus?
Yeah, well, he GA'd under Gus, and then
From Shiloh Christian, right?
There you go.
Can I get you guys to mark the tape? I'm calling it now. Rhett's going to be Pittman's replacement in 3 years at Arkansas.
He never. Lashley wasn't ever a head coach. He was the QB coach at Springdale High School.
Springdale, there you go.
And then went straight to be a GA at Arkansas, then Auburn.
yeah. I did not realize he had that short stint as a quarterback coach at Springdale. I thought he went straight to be a GA at Arkansas, then took a 2-year break, and then went to Auburn to be another GA.
Yep.
He was like selling magazines for a hot minute or whatever it was.
Speaking of Rhett Lashley, I just spent some time down in Miami with Adrian Posse, the 2024 Auburn quarterback commit, and Keysal and Harsin are his favorite guys by far, but his next favorite guy was Rhett Lashley, which I thought was interesting. Obviously, Rhett was at Miami last year, so that's Adrian. But you never know what if things don't work out with Auburn. Something to keep an eye on.
Memes other than former high school coaches. What else you got, man?
Why don't we ask him a question?
There you go.
Well, let's ask him. What do you think about the punt?
Right,
The punt?
Is Meme still here?
Yeah, he's.
Oh,
on
I'm
the
here.
line.
Sorry, I had my phone on mute. One more time. What was the question?
What did you think about that fake punt?
We're going to turn the tables on you here.
Yeah. I didn't hate it, and here's why. Like,
I hear you.
convert the punt, you punt it, whatever. Like, it didn't change the outcome of that game. They're trying to be aggressive and do something. Like, I mean, you could have converted. I mean, John Sam Shinker could have run that ball for 25 yards. It still wouldn't change that game.
They probably don't score.
Yeah, I mean, they convert the fourth down to go 3 and out afterward. Like,
You know what means? That's the same attitude I had against LSU when Auburn was going for it on fourth down and they were having timeouts called before halftime. I know that winning against the grain, but they were trying to win, and I was okay with that. And I'm the same way. Don't get me wrong. Your defense is playing lights out early in that game. You punt them down. Maybe you can get a turnover or something, but I understand that. But I don't have a problem with it. I understand. Whatever, man. Yeah, and that was kind of my attitude while watching that game. Like, whatever, dude. You know, I hear you. Whatever.
You play to win the game.
Yeah. Whatever. I hear you. That was like I was watching that alone. I think I said it out loud. I hear you. Whatever.
Yeah. No. It wasn't. I mean, the whole game was pain. It was just one more layer of pain on top of it. At least, yeah, try it. What else? I mean, at that point, what do you have to lose? And it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think people are so
whatever.
Everything Carson does, they just need something to just be mad about, and that's the unfortunate reality that him and that staff are in. It's just nothing you can do will be right. Everything is put under a microscope. So I
don't know if you noticed this memes if you watched it on television or not, but the CBS broadcast, they went to Harsin almost after every other play. Like, I don't know what they were trying to do, but they went to Harsin's face on the sidelines after every play. I don't know if they were looking for memes, speaking of which, or what, but man, they were all over him.
Throwing his headset and doing things I've never seen him
one
do
camera
before.
guy had a crush on him hard.
Yes.
Yeah, the headset throwing, the Robbie's helmet thing. He was very emotional. Now, granted, this is actually my first Auburn game I've been able to watch at TV this year because I've been at all the home games. So for those who have watched it on TV, like, was that more Harsin shots than we're used to getting, or has that been kind of par for the course this season?
That's a good question. That was only my second game I've watched on TV this year because we usually watch in the stadium feed.
All I could focus on was the he hadn't shaved.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, the 4 F-bombs he dropped in the middle of the game that they caught on TV the entire time. But no, it means I think that was pretty. I mean, maybe a little bit more, but about par for the course. He gets a lot of shots in the game. I'm gonna be honest with you, as he's walking.
Well, here's the real question: what y'all think about a little 5 o'clock shadow he had going on?
Yeah,
that's
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's what Keith said. Yeah, definitely.
He's been up, dude.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was. I don't know whether it was the I'm starting to give up a little bit on life look. I've been there, or if it was the I just filmed a movie in Barbados and I'm appearing on the Johnny Carson show and I want to look cool look. You know what I mean?
I got that Harsin look.
Yeah, he's a little.
Yeah, he's trying to copy Jeffrey right now.
And let me tell you, this is I give up on life.
He's really trying to make it to me and Zach status.
December just looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Y'all's patchy ass beards.
Dude, that's where I'm at. Like, straight white trash DNA in my family for sure. Great patches.
Oh shoot! All right, memes. Go to bed, dude.
Buddy.
7 o'clock.
Appreciate y'all talking. It's getting close to 7. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah. All right, big dog. All right, Zach, keep us rolling.
1560. You're live.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mark from Seoul, Korea. So probably your first caller from Korea.
We've gone international, fellas.
I like it.
Damn at first. I was holding my breath.
My man's got to be in the military for this one.
on board.
What is it?
Tropum, TRZOPM.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Jay Lee still owes me. Jay Lee still needs to go to a rave with me.
Oh.
Hey, Jay Reed with glow sticks? Get out of here.
Yeah, he said he was going to go to the rave with me a couple months back.
Oh, if Jessica will let me, count me in.
No, I wanted to give a shout out to Keith and thank y'all for the show. But I've been following Keith probably about 10 years now through multiple sites.
Yeah.
And I had a recruiting
He lost me
question.
so much he had to move to another continent.
That's what the military does for you, right?
Yeah.
It does, brother. It does.
But so I know they have the official visits and the unofficial visits.
and like the official visits are paid for by the college and everything, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So when an unofficial visit comes in, do they give them the same like FaceTime as an official visit, or do they show official visitors like a little bit more love and stuff like that?
Keith.
All right, well, keep this simple. It depends on it depends on who the kid is. Now, remember, an official visit is going to be over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes during the season, it's just Saturday, Sunday. So over the extended period, obviously that kid's going to get more FaceTime with everybody. But a big unofficial visitor like a James Smith or Quay Rousseau, the 2 5-stars from Montgomery, obviously the minute they step foot inside that stadium or on campus to the minute they leave, they're going to get nonstop attention. So it really varies from kid to kid. It does. The official visit is really just a way to get a kid and all his family and maybe a coach, important people in his life, to get a nice trip paid for where they get to experience everything, including the academic sides, which we really never even talked about, but they're doing tours. They're doing tours of the facilities. They're doing all kinds of things. And so those are really the biggest differences. The unofficial visit, obviously, they got to pay their own way. But look, Jeffrey and Cole have been in every game this year. When those important kids are there, they have somebody attached to their hip, even if they're not on an official visit at all times.
Yeah, they almost make you feel bad for talking to them or trying to take their picture or something. They're like, hey, we're trying to do something here.
What game was the rain delay?
Mercer.
Was it Mercer?
Mercer.
But James and Quay, they get there before the game time. They're taking them to midfield to talk to Harsin. During that rain delay, you saw Harsin, Brumbaugh, Rock Bellantoni, Zach Etheridge. You saw all these guys coming out of the locker room to go talk. So it's like Keith said, it depends. But on an official visit, you're there. You can be up there for up to 48 hours, all paid, and you're talking to every angle, every person in every angle of that program. Academic, you're talking to the weight guy, the strength and conditioning coach. You're taking a detailed tour of the dorms. You're looking at where you're going to live, where you're going to work out, where you're going to practice, who's going to be doing this. Your tutor over here. You're getting a lot more in depth of what it would be like to be a student athlete at Auburn University, whereas an unofficial visit is more of just building a relationship.
And if you do the official visit at a season, you get there for the whole period. You don't miss.
Yeah, you're 48.
You go during the season, even if you have an open week and you're not playing as a kid Friday night, but Auburn has a game, you're not going to be able to go to the hotel and hang out with the coaches. They're busy, and so. But if you go in June on an official visit, you'll have a Friday night dinner with the staff, events all day. I think the photo shoots are now Friday night during those June visits where they do all the glamour shots down at the stadium. And then, at the end of the visit, it depends on the staff, some type of exit interview or, Jeffrey, Bruce Pearl, a big breakfast or brunch that final day. So they're getting plenty of alone time. And you could argue that because the coaching staff knows that guy during a weekend is going to get multiple chances to spend time with the staff, then they can spend maybe more time with the unofficial guys at the actual game because that's their one shot with those guys where the other guys are there all weekend.
And it's really funny. I was looking at statistics on commitment success coming out of June versus in season, and it's significantly higher in June. That didn't work that way in our favor this year, but and then also December visits, where you also have that opportunity at the end of the season to be able to dedicate that time. The success rate is extremely high on getting a commitment for getting kids in December.
Hey, we appreciate you, Mark, in more than one ways, man.
Thanks for what you do over there, man.
I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. Hey, War Eagle, brother.
Appreciate you, big dog. Good stuff from Mark. So, South Korea, I presume.
I got a lot of fans out there, guys. I mean, sooner you guys accept it.
We got what?
I said I got a lot of fans out there.
Oh, yeah, I know it, dude.
Yeah.
I've accepted it.
Yeah.
7728, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Kev51. Kev, Kev51.
Kev51.
And from Muscle Shoals. How y'all doing?
What's up?
Hey,
what's up, Kev?
Oh, Lauderdale County.
Hey. All right, so I don't have long. My question kind of off the wall, but it's got to do with the NIL deal. So I remember before the season, I believe I heard that TJ Finley had some kind of Amazon deal or something.
Mm-hmm.
It just made me think of Tim Cook with Apple. Has anybody reached out to him? I mean, is that a possibility as far as, offering some kind of meal deals? Anything I know about?
That's a good question, Kev. That's a good question because Jessica and I were talking about this. Like, why isn't Tim Cook this huge booster, right? Why does he don't give a shit about football. Like he's got scholarships and stuff, endowments or whatever you call those things. Mm-hmm. But and don't get me wrong, he's an Auburn fan. He just doesn't give a shit about football enough to invest millions of his dollars. I mean, and this is just what I know, right? Somebody tell me I'm wrong, and oh no, he contributed $20 million to the new football facilities. He ain't that dude. He doesn't care about. Let's be honest, he's a nerd, dude.
Yeah.
He was a nerd in high school. He probably hated jocks. He was a nerd in college. And here's the jocks going, "Hey man, can you give us some money?" He's like, "Hell no, I'm gonna pay for the the engineering kid."
I'm thinking Amazon. I mean, at least Tim Cook's an alumni. It just crossed my mind. I was just thinking that'd be huge potential there.
I will say this, and then Keith, I know that you got something to say as well. That TJ's deal with Amazon is a legitimate endorsement deal, and it's something that he puts a lot of work into on social media as far as that's concerned. There are a lot of kids that get money from collectives that are not necessarily earning that check per se. There's not a lot of work being done there, and my guess is that if Tim Cook were going to be putting an investment into Auburn, they would want a return on investment, some kind of ROI. As far as that is concerned, it would need to be a player that could command the kind of attention that they want to shop whatever Apple product it's going to be. So, and I don't know that we necessarily have somebody of that magnitude. We don't have a Cam Newton on our roster right now that's going to drive that kind of attention. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky because if it was just that easy, right? Then Oregon's got Nike.
Yeah.
And every one of their kids, we wouldn't see Tom Brady or whatever in Nike commercials anymore. We'd see nothing but Oregon players. But these guys are businessmen first and foremost. That the business acumen and worldwide global organizations. I almost think it'd be more. But Jeffrey, I thought he did contribute something to the football.
I think he did too. I think he did. I think I remember seeing something about that. But
I think it almost might be better if a guy owned a $100 million company in Birmingham instead of this worldwide, because he's got to have customers all over the world. And if his base was just Alabama, it'd be one thing in the state of Alabama. But you run the risk. Suppose they worked out a deal for 25 of Auburn's football players. Well, what if you didn't do it for other schools? It's tricky. It's a slippery slope. You know what I mean? You run the risk of, even though we beat Auburn, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's. Does that make any sense? They got to be kind of careful.
Yeah, it does.
They can't be cavalier with their money here. You know what I mean? Or
I guess just on the surface, you hear
absolutely.
Amazon is just as big as that. You know what I'm saying? So
and he does things. Listen, they've made him the honorary captain of 2 recent Iron Bowls, right?
Yep.
And last year, and then one before. Maybe it's 3 total. I don't even know. But
I'm sure 2019 for sure.
Yeah, they're not doing that. Listen, they're not doing that out of the goodness of their Okay.
Tim Cook was a trombone player in high school. I'm not. I had a sneeze. I was not laughing.
He's the kind of guy that Cole and Jeffrey would have been given the carrying him wedgie across 300 yards.
Yeah, I was kind of.
You ever seen Revenge?
I appreciate you taking my question.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Kev. I can't find anything as far as Tim Cook. I see that he donated to the Rod and Paula fund, Memorial Fund. I have yet to find anything on a big donation to Auburn.
He paid one of the Storming the Field fines. I thought it was either 17 or 19. He paid one of the Iron Bowls. $250 by the SEC for Storming the Field.
Oh, nice.
I believe you're right. I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah.
Keep us rolling, Zach. I'm gonna see if I can find that.
And one more thing, Keith. As far as tonight goes, I'm sorry.
You're live. Felix, you there?
$250,000 Tim Cook paid.
He's giving us money.
Felix? Yeah.
Hold on. I'm trying to get out there, then.
Who we? Did I miss it? Is it Felix? Who are we talking to?
Yeah,
Felix. What's up, Felix?
Going to get us demonetized.
Yeah.
Where's that
Me?
gong? I got to order that gong from Amazon real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, did I say something?
No. I was asking Felix if he was going to get us
Oh,
the
I think he had connection issues. He just dropped off.
Oh, Felix. Yeah. All right, cool. We'll come back to Felix.
Keep rolling. 5'6", 6'8". You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Bruce from Columbus.
Hey, Bruce.
Bruce.
Your email is it Bruce99966?
Yeah, B. Bruce.
Is it B Bruce?
Not them, no.
Okay, cool. All right, you can continue.
Yeah, I was going to have to go hide in my laundry room if that was the case.
Bruce from Columbus. What's on your mind tonight, Bruce?
I'm going to make a quick sales pitch for the coaching position, and then I'm going to shut up and hang up and let y'all talk. But just now, listening to Keith, he made my night when he started talking about Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking back to Alabama in 1989. After we beat them, they fired Bill Curry. Then they went through their 10-year dry spell and had about 5 different coaches during that time. And they finally got smart and realized that we're in a big, deep hole and we need to make a big move. And they did and brought Saban. So out of all the names I hear, I just don't see Hugh Freeze or any of these. I think Jeff Grimes would be a good coach. Not great, but good. Other than him, I don't see any of these other guys. But Kiffin just seems to check off all the boxes. He's a young guy. He seems to be very aggressive. We've seen some of his remarks over time in the media that he doesn't seem to back down from Saban, doesn't seem to be scared of him. He's a great recruiter. With our team, the way it's going to be going into next year, it seems like we have to hit a home run in the portal, and that's exactly what he did last year. And it just seems like that he checks off all the boxes to me. And I know he's a lot of money. I know y'all said it'd be about $9-10 million a year to get him.
Yep.
But just for once in our history, I would love to see Auburn just really go out and make a big home run hire and take a risk and just go for it. So,
Bruce,
I'm going to shut up and let y'all talk, and I appreciate the time.
You're welcome, Bruce. I appreciate you calling in, man. And I will say this. I wasn't Grimes wouldn't be my head coach either. I'm with Keith. Lane Kiffin's the guy who moves the needle for me.
And I'm not questioning anybody's reporting, by the way. I hope is gets.
Yeah. No.
My whole thing would be that would be my guy.
I think for the last 2 weeks that we've started kind of taking off the gloves, as Jhead said, the 3 guys that we've talked about the most were Jeff Grimes, Hugh Freeze, and Lane Kiffin. And of those 3, I'm taking Lane Kiffin. I'm taking one of the defensive coordinators, whether it be Will, Travis, T-Rob. So, I'm not letting Keith be the only one here riding down on his white horse. I was on that Kiffin horse before. I'm riding double with Keith.
Yeah, man.
The fans are not having fun right now. Look, it is what it is at this point, right? So if there's a change made, we think there probably will be. Who's going to make it fun for them again? And not just what they see on Saturday, but Sunday through Friday too.
Yeah.
Hey, here's what I want to say about Hugh Freeze. Here's the only thing I want to say about Hugh Freeze. And Hugh Freeze does he doesn't do it for me. And here's why. He has some success at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, here's my hot take. Gus Malzahn at Ole Miss during that time would have had as much or more success as Hugh Freeze. Jhead doesn't agree with me.
No, I don't. Situations are so different because of what Hugh took over from Houston Nutt. I mean, Hugh took over a program that lost 16 straight SEC games and then turned them around each year into the last year. I don't know that Gus would have done that. He could have. I'm with you guys that I think Lane is the better play at the moment. But I don't know that Gus does what Hugh does at Ole Miss just because of his connection to the state of Mississippi and how they were able to recruit. And I don't know that Gus would have necessarily done some of the things that were needed to do to land some of those recruits either.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. And I guess my thing was, and somebody mentioned this on the corner. Gus took that three-win team in 2012 to the national championship in 2013, but the roster was decidedly different than what Hugh Freeze got at Ole Miss.
Now,
No doubt.
Freeze coached Michael Orr in high school, right?
Yes.
So here's my problem with him. I'm going to try to be
Enough with the trick plays, Bert. Run the dang ball.
Let me just. Hey, thanks a lot for ruining my shtick there, pal. my problem is, if he's so smart, how come Sandra Bullock had to tell him how to,
Oh, well, my bad, dude. You know what the most important thing of a joke is, right? The timing.
Yes. No, but
I think
you could probably win with. I mean, look, it's Auburn, man. I think there's 50 guys out there that can win at this place, man. It's just trying to find that one that fits the collective persona of the university too, and its fan base and all that. The right person at the right time. There's many variables. Go ahead, Cole. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I think it could be as simple as you go and you ask 100 Alabama fans, 100 Georgia fans, 100 LSU fans, all your rivals, who would scare you the most at Auburn? They're probably going to say either Lane Kiffin or Deion Sanders. I don't think they would. Maybe one or two would name Hugh Freeze, but probably the majority would name those two. And that should tell you enough. I mean, if they're scared of the guy, if they know that they're going to go there and recruit because they see Auburn as a place where they could go and have success like that, and then, yeah, that's the answer.
I think that's a good way to gauge.
Sure,
it is. But I will also say this, Cole, and it's
that
not.
That doesn't mean. I'm sorry, Jhead, but that doesn't mean somebody else like Jeff Grimes wouldn't be successful. It just means these are the guys that scare other people.
Agreed. And I think you make a beautiful argument as far as who you should target. But my whole point in all this is that they got to be willing to dance with you too. And if it's going to cost $10 million a season at 75% guaranteed to get Kiff, and that's the rumor that's floating around out there. That's not made up.
Here's one thing.
He's going to leave Ole Miss, where he's got it completely rolling, to come to Auburn, specifically if he's got his eye on the NFL, which is the end game for him. My guess is that's a Sexton leverage play. That's me spitballing on the last part of it, but I feel pretty comfortable.
Stay away from those Sexton clients, right, Jhead?
You know what I mean? Hey, look, Freeze is a Sexton client, okay?
I will tell you that the last time Auburn had an opening, somebody very close to Lane, and I'll show you guys the messages, at least 5 or 6 times asked me, what's going on? What's going on at Auburn?
Mm-hmm.
I say this person's close to Lane. Take my word for it. They're close to Lane.
I believe it.
Now, that doesn't mean that could have been a leverage play too. It's tricky. When we talk about who potential, again, it still feels so weird talking about this when you have a current head coach who, quite frankly, the 2 experiences I've had with the guy was gracious and nice, and you know what I mean. So it feels weird, but anyway, we've crossed that bridge, I guess. But so much is put into, well, who would this guy hire here, and here? Yeah. But the reality of it is, so you hire those 10 assistants that first year, no matter who they are, that second year, there's probably some changes.
Always.
If you do really well, some of those guys may get head coaching jobs or coordinator jobs. If they do poorly, they may be gone. So it's not like when you hire, I know this sounds stupid, but it's not like when you hire a staff and this guy's going to be my coordinator, doesn't mean they're going to be with you the whole 8 years. You go hire 2 great coordinators and you go out of the gate and go 13-2, and those guys are going to be the next head coaches at NC State and Colorado. So there are so many unknown variables. That's why I think, and I know everybody says that we just get everybody aligned and we're moving in the right direction. I've seen schools do that before when legends retire. They all get aligned, but head coach is pretty damn important too now. You know what I mean? So,
hey, Grizz, that's a trap, big dog.
I saw that.
We got one last caller here. We'll shut down the call lines.
Last call.
4148. You're live. Who are we talking to? Where are you calling from?
This is Jay Lee's Dingleberry of the week. Gomer, come home. How are y'all doing?
Gomer.
What's up, man?
I just
Been all right.
Go or come home.
Man, I have never I cannot believe how tight our team plays every week. Just drop balls, and it just is so maddening. What is it better for you guys? And Jhead, I'll ask you this: is it better at this point just to let, since the gloves are off, Hars finish the season? I just can't imagine putting an interim coach in there and then keeping our existing recruiting class comfortable until the end of the season. And, I know it's all fluid, but just let him play it out at this point instead of putting somebody else in that position. I mean, I can't imagine even talking about DJ Chester and where we stand with him, or keeping Janoris Wilson and so forth and so on. I mean, it's going to take getting rid of Hars at the end of the season and then bringing a new coach in as quickly as possible and seeing what we can do in the portal and maintaining this recruiting class. And I don't know who we're going to get new at that point. What are y'all's thoughts on all that?
So I never want to come across as advocating to fire anyone. I think that's a very slippery slope, and it's probably not fair to the people that are in these coaching positions. But if we're talking about, do we want him to play out the string and coach the rest of the season? I think, and Keith said it best, that once you have made a determination that you are going to need to part ways, that you need to do it at some point to give yourself enough time to be able to formulate a search committee and negotiate directly with somebody's agent so that you have them in line as quickly as you possibly can. I think you're probably looking at A&M game would be a sweet spot to me to make that. Probably if you're going to part ways, that makes a lot of sense, because that gives you 2 more weeks within the season to kind of get your search committee together, start interviewing candidates if you need to, Zoom calls, whatever it is, other than the previous negotiations that are going on with feelers that are being put out by people that are not directly tied to the university. So I do think there is a length of period of time that you need to get all that worked out. It doesn't need to happen at the bye week. It's not a situation where you need that much time, but there is a set period of time so that we don't end up like last time. The plan was to promote Kevin Steele, and then we had a search committee put together at the last second. The early signing day went by. You didn't have a coach until Christmas. It was a nightmare scenario. You need to have everything on previous to that. But I do think there's not a lot of harm in playing out the string for a little bit longer. I think you can go another 2, 3, 4 weeks before you feel like you need to make a move necessarily, if you've decided to part ways. And what I can't say is that the administration, I don't honestly know. I can tell you what I'm led to believe. I can tell you what, the whispers, that we've heard, that there's probably no way that he finishes this year as goes into 2023 as Auburn's head coach. But I don't know exactly what President Roberts is thinking.
There's a variable here. We have, again, I'll try to be quick for once. I know I say that all the time, but it's Brian Harsin. In fairness to him, if you're going to get rid of him at some point, maybe it might not be a terrible thing for him if he had a little head start, a little time to clear his head, get working on that next thing too. So I don't know. That's something that the people making the decisions.
Well, you hear they keep offering him an early buyout, and he just is playing poker. And I'm sure I would do the same thing. It's going to be interesting to see it play out. I just didn't see the bye week after next week's game, which is probably going to be ugly too. Being a time to do it. Letting an interim head coach deal with the team and their motivation and ability to hit the field and practice every week, for the next 5-6 games of this year. The Texas A&M game makes a lot of sense, Jhead, in what you're saying. I just hope it works out from a situation to where we can have enough time to evaluate, interview, whether it be behind the scenes or not, and then get it done at the end of the season when the Iron Bowl ends.
Yeah, and there are some conversations that you have to have directly that administrators and things, they cannot. you fall yourself into a Jetgate situation if you're directly meeting with someone or something of that magnitude. So there has to be time to put that search committee together, but does it have to be done at the bye week? No. You can let that play out significantly longer to give somebody a little bit more time.
Gomer, I think I know kind of where you're thinking here. And it's a point that I've been trying to make for a couple of weeks now, but I don't think I've formulated it all that well. It's this massive feeling by the Auburn fans right now. And it started, and again, I've said this 3 or 4 times now, it started when they did not sign anybody on that second signing period in February, early February. Mm-hmm. And there were still some glaring needs. And now you're looking at the situation going, okay, I'm counting down the weeks to signing day right now. Because the longer you let the situation go on, how much does it hurt our recruiting class? How much does it hurt, the guys that are there? How much time do you lose in trying to get guys to fill the class? I can understand that point because that's something I'm interested in. I'm looking into, like, the longer it goes on, the more this drags out, the less time you have to fill that class in December.
My God. I mean, watching Robbie drop the ball yesterday, watching Coy drop the ball, watching Keandre Jones run forward and just fall on the ground yesterday.
Sniper.
I was just and not just that, and then hearing the interview with Fabianich last week that we're missing an entire junior class of offensive linemen, and we've known that for the past 3 years, not seeing recruiting classes come in. I mean, I can't imagine what this coach is going to be dealing with, the new coach is going to be dealing with coming in here.
It would be nice to have a head start. And here's, the thing about I can make a case for both ways. I can make a case for in-season decision. I can make a case for the postseason decision. If these guys stick around for another 6 weeks, they're going to get some more commitments. Yeah. They're going to get some really good commitments.
I agree.
That was my point, Jay Lee, that should you just keep him and let the recruiting class play out, and then the next coach can at least come in quickly and try to salvage it. But
and that might be kind of what maybe some people are thinking.
Right.
That's at least a theory, Gomer. I mean, again, and then you could say, hey, let's cut ties right now so that these guys who aren't considering Auburn because of this coach knows that, hey, keep an eye on us and what we're doing over here. Brooks is beating on the damn.
Appreciate you guys. I mean, I'm working my second job trying to keep Auburn's football program intact, and I know y'all are helping me. So thanks for everything.
Appreciate you, Gomer.
Appreciate you guys a ton, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Is that it? Plugs?
Hey, real quick. Lord George was not able to call in, but he did want us to answer one of his questions.
Oh, yeah, I had a question on the what's it called?
The corner
message board. Yeah, the corner. I've been on the bunker for so long, my entire. Let me go ahead, Cole. You go ahead. I'm gonna find mine too.
All right, from Lord George, who usually is our first caller.
Yes, he is.
Couldn't call tonight, but he wanted to know, what do you think of this betting line, the point spread going into the Ole Miss game, which right now it's 13.5, 14, I think it was at last check. So Ole Miss by 14. What do y'all think?
I thought it was lower than I thought. I don't think Auburn's offense can keep up with them.
I thought it was a little bit lower too, honestly, because Ole Miss is averaging about 40 points a game and Auburn's averaging about 20. So
what I will say is, and this is what I will say, Ole Miss's strength of schedule has been hot garbage to this point.
Fair.
Hot garbage. They played Georgia Tech, Tulsa, Troy.
Hey, look, I'll give credit.
Vanderbilt.
I'll give them credit for playing Troy. A lot of SEC programs
they
struggle
won't
with
play
Troy.
them. I agree. And John Sumrall played them tough. That's for sure.
Auburn wouldn't play Troy.
And got lucky and got sort of fortunate to beat Kentucky, right?
Correct. Got fortunate to beat Kentucky. And we all saw Kentucky just lose to South Carolina this past Saturday. Granted, they didn't have their quarterback, but still lost to a lower tier SEC team. So I'm not impressed with the competition that Ole Miss has played at this point, and I think that's factoring into Vegas's line. By comparison, Auburn has played Penn State. They've played Georgia. You know, you're talking about 2 top 10 teams that they've played now.
A damn good Missouri team.
Yeah. No, hold on, don't.
I mean, they took Georgia to the wire, and Auburn.
Yeah, they did.
But at this point, were you done, Jhead? I'm sorry.
No, you're good, Keith. Go ahead.
At this point, it's not, you're not just factoring in how good is Auburn and how talented is Auburn and how's the coaching, but now you have to factor the psyche in.
You do.
3-3, 2 losses in a row. Could have been 3 losses in a row. You just got absolutely destroyed in the second half by your one of your 2 biggest rivals. You might have some injuries. We're trying to figure out what's going on with some guys, and it's a road game. So, we'll see.
But it is your second road game. So that was your first road game in Athens. So now you've done it once. So maybe that helps you from the procedural penalty standpoint and everything else, because you hadn't been in a ruckus environment to this point. Everything's been in the friendly confines of Jhead Nair Stadium.
Yeah.
So maybe that helps. But I'm with you, Keith. I mean, you wonder where the psychology of this team is right now and what their mental state is. Are they going to come out with their backs against the wall and come out fighting? Or are they going to be completely in shutdown mode? That's what you don't know.
It might. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I was just going to say, what do you think the talent comparison here is, roster to roster with Ole Miss? You think it's pretty similar? Obviously, the skill positions on offense are light years ahead of Auburn, but the defense, man.
Defense.
Does this match up? Does this offense match up well for Auburn's defense? Because let me tell you something. I don't know where Derek Hall is. What's up with him? But this defense, man, it's not a liability.
No, it's not.
It's not bad.
It's pretty damn good and getting better.
And this is an Ole Miss offense that got, they got held in check by Tulsa. Okay? They didn't get blown out in that game. I think they only won the game by like 6 or 7 points, right, Cole?
Yep.
So you're talking about a team they're not a perfect team by any means at Ole Miss. And I think the talent level is significantly more comparable to Ole Miss than it is to obviously what Georgia had, for sure. But more difference makers. I think Jackson Dart is a better quarterback at this point than Robbie.
But a drop off from Matt Corral.
Significantly so. And he's turnover prone. And that can be the difference in keeping that a little bit of a tighter score. So I don't know, Jeffrey. I mean, I think we match up better with Ole Miss. They're also their starting tailback is out still, right? I know they got Quinn Sean, who's doing really well, but their starter, the transfer from TCU, the kid out of Houston, that was
Zach Evans.
Yeah, I think Zach's still out.
They also have Ulysses Bentley, who they picked up out of the portal from SMU, was a 1,000-yard rusher last year.
Right. So they got a lot of talent.
They've been portal warriors. They're
It's amazing.
Good as anybody.
I think I saw Ladarius Tennyson made a play for them the other day.
LT, yep, sure did.
Pegues has 10 tackles on the year. Tennyson's got 22 tackles on the year. Tennyson has started both at slot corner and at safety, I believe.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pegues, oddly enough, Alex Sanford's interest in Auburn stemmed from J.J. Pegues from signing with Auburn.
Yeah.
My question was from Steady Dividends on the corner, and it was basically what Gomer was asking, the benefits of making an in-season change versus the postseason, which is kind of what more in terms of the early signing period, which one would benefit the early signing period. Probably go ahead and do it. If you're looking, what was it, December 21st? You'd have 3 good weeks after the season,
right?
But you've got to make you can't if you're firing him on November the 27th, you can't name a coach for at least another week, even if you've already got him signed. You know what I mean? You got to make some window dressing that you put in a search.
Well, I think it would mean we're going to have a more exciting February signing day than last year.
But man, there's a lot of kids graduating in December.
Yeah. And that early portal window is going to be massive. That 45-day window after the season closes, that's going to be huge for all.
And that's what I was trying to say with Gomer. I think that's where a lot of people's heads are at, and they're starting to freak out a little bit looking at the time clock ticking down to that early signing period. Like, man, everybody else is filling up, and we're sitting here in limbo. That again, it's like right? Like 3 years in a row, you've been a program that has had trouble signing your top guys because of the questions that head coach.
I'll do you one better, Cole. I'm starting a little series tomorrow. I'm going back a few classes to look, and we talk about the transition class from when Gus was fired and Horace was hired. Not a great class. Last year, we don't know yet. But on the surface, it doesn't look like a great class. We're forgetting about 2020's class, though. Pegues, Tennyson, Kobe Hudson, Zacchaeus Walker, Jay Hardy, Eric Reed, Marco Damio.
Jaron Handy.
A ton of guys.
Was Stone in that class?
No, he was not. He was not with that.
He was 2019. Okay. Him and the other kid that smoked.
It really started the roster drop off. That class finished
huge dip.
Romello Height.
That class finished number 7. But when you look at the transfers and got Avery Jernigan has yet to play a down at Auburn, has not played a snap. Now he was not a high 5, 4 or 5 star, but it's sort of been a lost class. Then you had I was forgetting about that class. I was just thinking about the transition class then last year, and now this could be the 4th year in a row with a substandard, sub-Auburn like or un-Auburn like class. That's dangerous.
Was Garner Langlow and Colby Smith 2020?
Yes. Well, 2021. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Here, let me. I got the
two classes ago.
Yeah. Let me read the guys from the 2020 class that are no longer on the team.
I'm writing a story for tomorrow, Cole.
Oh yeah.
He's saying, don't kill me here.
Premium story too.
Back off! I'm starving.
Okay.
Hey, well, here's what I was going to say, Jhead. I think if what I was saying was like you can't fire him on November 27th or fire a coach on the day after and then expect to have a coach named immediately, right? You got to at least put out the perception that you're doing. But
it works.
Right. But technically you can't. However, if you make a move November the 13th,
yes,
after A&M, you've got 2 weeks with an interim. You got 2 games with an interim. Probably the first game you're going to be favored, or the only game you're going to be favored for the rest of the season. And then November 27th comes, and you've had 2 weeks to legally on the surface be in looks. So now maybe it's a quick turnaround where you've got a week. You've got a coach named by December the 4th, and now you've got 3.5 weeks until early signing period. You're bringing all those cats back in for official visits. Your official visits are basically reset, and you've got 3.5 weeks to put together a class. Keep the guys that you want and add the guys that you can.
And I think right now, like you said, we've got 10 guys in this class right now, right? The goal would probably be to try to land at least another 5 high school prospects if you can. And then somewhere between 15 JUCO to portal prospects would be the class. That would be how you would probably the composition.
That would be ideal. I will say this, though. A new coaching staff is not keeping all 10 of these guys.
No, I agree with you, Keith.
It's a reality, but it is a reality nonetheless.
And I hate it for the kids.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're not good, but I'm saying, but it's systematic systems and position coach. They may hire a position coach from another school who said, I never recruited this guy. I never liked it. It's personal preference. It's, all those things.
This guy's not SEC.
Yeah. And, you might hire a position coach that, let's suppose you hire the DB coach from LSU last year, Corey Raymond. It was a big, unique situation. Some coaches specifically get guys just because of them, really. It's not because of the program, it's because of them. So you may be able to bring in a couple of those guys that then immediately, within a week, have guys committed. It's crazy. It's going to be, we know it's likely to happen.
Yep.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild.
Is it fair to say that there's no way it doesn't? Like you went out at 9-3. There's just no
way.
There's no way, right? I mean, what would it take? 7-5 and a bowl win?
I don't even.
In a top 10 class?
I think it'd have to be 8-4, Jeffrey. I really do. I think
8-4. If in the next 10 days, James Smith and Quay Russaw and Reuben Bain all commit to Auburn,
yep.
All of a sudden, perhaps that changes everything. Beyond that, and with NIL,
Who knows?
Yeah, I was going to say that too. As long as that's in good shape, I think you're okay.
I've heard conflicting reports on the early less than buyout that I think Gomer was talking about, or maybe it was Bruce. So I'm going. Is it a foregone conclusion that Brian Harsin will not be head coach at Auburn a year from now? Does everybody feel that it is?
I feel like it's an inevitability, yes.
Yeah, I do. I feel like it is, yeah.
Right.
Any way you see him around as Auburn's coach when spring starts, Keith?
God, you know how I am about this.
I hear you.
I know we get to know all these people, and they're.
I know. I hate it.
It doesn't seem likely. It doesn't seem likely. I mean,
it doesn't seem. I think that's what I would.
Let's put it this way: I haven't heard, like you say, Jeffrey. You always say to me, I haven't heard one person say that it is likely. At a certain point, you start believing it.
I mean, I hope they go 9-3 and to the Sugar Bowl.
We all
sign a top 10 class. I really do. I want these kids. I love watching these kids play. I love watching them play against LSU, man. Like y'all talking about Robbie and they're fighting, man. They're fighting. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate to see people fail.
Agreed.
Me too.
I hate to see good people fail. And if this is a failed experiment, I will always come back to it was a bad fit from the get-go. I don't blame Brian Harsin. I blame the man who hired him and who talked him into it or whatever it took. But I hate it. Like I said, I hope we don't come to that. I hope Auburn's 9-3, 8-4.
Yeah.
And we're planning a trip to Orlando to play Wisconsin or who the hell from the Big Ten.
Outback Bowl, baby.
Yeah, Wisconsin. That's
and I hope we're all meeting in Montgomery at Carver High School on December the 20th to cover Quay Rousseau and James Smith's commitments. I hope Keith's traveling to Miami soon to get Reuben Bain. So, but we are we can't deny what's going on, and that's why we're talking about it. All right. Good show, man. I'm glad we appreciate all the calls. My goodness, we had texts calling from Irving, Texas. We had calls from Texas. We had Birmingham AUJH Dubs, Sparks from Atlanta, Anthony from Montgomery. Anthony's a great caller, man. Memes, he's probably asleep by now. Generation Z, baby. How about Mark from Seoul, Korea?
Right, the 38th parallel, baby.
Woo, we just went in. Mark, we appreciate your call and what you do, man. We'll be thinking about you. Kev from Muscle Shoals, North Alabama. Felix. Oh, Felix. He never did call back in. I'm going to ban his ass. Bruce from Columbus, and then Gomer come home. Gomer come home. Hey, before we want to give some things. We'll start off with speaking of Jessica, which nobody mentioned her, but hey, speaking of Jessica, hey, if you're looking for a home in the Auburn-Opelika area in Lee County, Jessica Andrus, eXp Realty, give her a call, 334-704-4442. I'm actually going to have to go blow some leaves tomorrow, clean the yard up. Because listen, she doesn't just sell your home; she gets your home prepped and ready to get. So you get high dollar, the top dollar for it, man. She is fantastic, 5-star realtor. Consensus 5-star realtor, Jessica Andrus, 334-704-4442. Give her a call and tell her we sent you. Might help me out.
Alvin Ashley 5-star. We're talking about Derek Brown.
Yeah, we're talking legit.
Yeah, I like that.
Derek Brown, son. I also want to give a mention to my favorite plug. There you go. My favorite Crawfish place here in Auburn is fantastic, man. And they're not sponsoring the show. I just love this place, and they got good people that run it. Big Blue Crawfish, located in Opelika, but they do Auburn. They come by anytime. They're located at 2611 Pepperell Parkway in Opelika. You can give them a call, 334-444-8136. You talking about a crawfish boil? Oh, my goodness, dude. It's so good. I mean, it's so good. Corn taters, crawfish, shrimp. You get the combo plate. Hey, it's worth it. It's across from the big Walmart on Opelika Road.
What does that say, Jeffrey? Say less.
Say less, dude. Hey, next time you come, Cole, it's just a dude. Like, and Parker's dad is how I know him. Kid went to school with Brooks. Awesome guy. Does it out of a. He just started it up, man. Solo job. Does a fantastic job. Real good dude. Good people, man. Cajun and Creole restaurant. Go check them out. Big Blue Crawfish. Keith, you want to give
This is my week. Oh, you want me to do it or you doing it? I'm doing it, right?
You're going to give you some golf lessons or something.
Yeah. Okay. So I go. If you're ever in South Florida, who knows? The Rick Smith Performance Golf Center at Doral. One of my childhood friends, Sebastian Camillo, is a master elite pro there. He'll get you fixed up. He'll get you going in the right direction. They've got unbelievable amounts of equipment. Right now, they've got me on a machine where they're comparing my swing to Rory McIlroy, and they look very much alike, as you can imagine.
Really? Oh, McIlroy.
Yes. Nice. They don't look alike, but we're getting to that point. But Rick Smith Golf Performance Center at Doral, the number is 305-591-6487. They'll fit you with clubs. They'll get you lessons. Unbelievable facility. So,
what you shooting these days, Keith?
I've only played twice all year.
Bullshit.
No, I practice a lot. Played Torrey Pines, where they played the U.S. Open with a buddy of mine in May. That was my first round of the year, coming off of hernia surgery and a rebuilt swing, and I shot 89. When my mother died in May, I needed to clear my head. A few days later, it might have been the next day, I went out and shot 73 at the University of Florida.
Wow.
At that point, I almost said, that's it. I'm done playing forever because,
card for sure.
By the way, that was with bogeys. That was with bogeys on 3 of the last 4 holes. So I was, man. Yeah. But anyway, Rick Smith Golf Performance Center.
All right.
Good guys.
Can you think maybe he could help me? I've broken 100 one time.
I was going to say, Jeffrey, if I shot 73 on the front 9, it'd been a good day, brother.
But I have a pretty swing, except when you put the ball down. Like my practice swing, it looks good. Like I mean, you're like, this dude got me good. I mean, right there. Look at that belly. Oh goddamn! I'm going to get back to my fasting. Lord have mercy. That dad bod coming on out.
Our good buddy Jason Caldwell is a hell of a player, and so is Jeremy.
Yeah.
Director of operations at Auburn.
Is he?
Hell of a player.
Okay. Jason's he's real good, isn't he?
We'll get you hooked up. Jeff, go to the Rick Smith Performance Golf Center.
There we go.
Rick Smith.
Is there. Yeah, that's Rick Smith, R-I-C.
Does anybody have a family-owned, individual-owned?
I got a plug. I do have.
All right.
It's these hats that I wear. Coosa cotton.
You had some crappie on there one time, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I got like 10 of these hats. This one was
Eat More Deer.
Yeah, Eat More Deer. That's a different company, but yeah.
Oh,
Coosa Cotton. They gave me this free hat the other day. They watch the show. Big Auburn fans. They love our show. They just subscribed to us.
Awesome.
I talked them into subscribing to us. They gave me this free hat. So
7 1/4, by the way. But go ahead. Good.
Yeah, me too. 7.
Yeah, let me. Yeah, I know.
I think fitted hats are out, Keith. I think fitted hats were for the 90s.
Okay.
They all got the snapbacks now. Yeah.
Cole's got the Bama bangs. Look at that.
Hey, Kirby Smart. Hey.
That's why I don't wear visors. So I don't want to look like that. I was never a visor guy.
Coosa, Cole, they got a website?
They do, yeah. CoosaCotton.com, or just go to the Instagram page, Facebook page. They got all that. Clothing, hats.
Nice.
And, I think they got fishing gear too. So
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, for sure. Big Auburn fans. Big Auburn fans.
CoosaCotton.com. Say less.
Say less.
Jhead, any
no plug for me tonight. I will have one. It's probably going to be a barber, Cole. I'll make sure I hook you up so you don't have the old Kirby Smart bowl cut, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
How much you pay for your haircut, Jhead?
Ooh, nice little solid $25 a whack.
Damn!
They get me, man.
Inflation got the barbershops too, man. My goodness.
Hey, well, look.
But I feel safe when I'm in there. Every one of them, they got free permit. So we're good.
I'm not trying to sell her out or anything, but my wife is a hairstylist.
Oh.
She gets to me when she gets the chance.
She works you in?
She works me in, yeah.
I could get one more thought in. That's the Rick Smith Performance Golf Center. Miami, Florida.
R-I-C-K.
I'm good.
All right, he's good. All right, folks, let's wrap it up. What a great show. I'm glad we moved to Sundays. We're going to be doing this moving forward, folks. It's fresh on our minds as it is your mind. Great questions tonight, great calls. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody calling in. And we'll be here all week. If you're not a member of Auburn Live on 3, please look it up. Check us out. We'll get a free week to start with. If you like us, and I'm sure you will, you'll stick around. You can get 50% off right now, an annual subscription. So basically $50 for an entire year. It's madness. It's a really good deal, though, and you're going to get your money's worth. Going to be a lot going on, as we've talked about for the past hour and a half. Got a lot to look forward to if that's your type of deal. Also, give us a like and subscribe on our Auburn Live YouTube page. I don't know what it does for it, but it does help. And YouTubers say it. Like and subscribe. So I'm saying like and subscribe. And I love the notifications myself, man. So you subscribe, you like the page, turn on that notification. You'll get all the new videos that we upload all week sent right to your phone saying, hey, it's time to watch. It's a great deal. We appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening. Keith and I will be back in the morning with Inside the 20.
Everybody, welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live Recruiting.
Was that me?
I think that was Keith's YouTube playing in the background, brother.
Oh, God, Keith. Of course it was Keith. All right, folks. Hey, he's playing me out, like at the Oscars. All right, folks. Appreciate you, man. Y'all stay out of the left lane for Zach in the back. Jhead, Keith, Cole. I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Appreciate you. See ya.